Hi there, my name is Kenneth and I'm the Lone Dice Guy. You're watching me go through my Lone Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition adventure as I play the Monk of the Order of the Dragon, Ming Zao. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get to it. Okay, so when we last left off, Ming had been traveling west along the mountain paths, going down in elevation to the desert, where the direction that the undead were coming from. Now, of course, he's not exactly a wilderness trek kind of guy. He's just left the monastery. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a very small fish and a very small fish in a very large pond, and so. Along the path, he encounters some troubles, finds a keep, an abandoned tower or keep kind of area, goes in and goes exploring and gets kind of ambushed by this huntress named Jem, who in turn turns out not to be as much as a threat as Ming thought. She's actually not very hostile. And so her and Ming talk and he convinces her to teach him the basics of wilderness survival, like what he needs to know to survive in the wild. Because for better or for worse, Ming doesn't know anything. He knows absolutely nothing, and he needs help. So Jem, because of, well, we rolled really well on the dice, and also because it seems like there's something in her past, there's a heartstring that's getting pulled, and seems like she wants to help Ming out for whatever reason, even though she said she doesn't do parties. So we'll see. Maybe we'll learn this session why that's happening. Okay, so because of that, I remember I told you that most of the tower keep had been pre-generated. Well, that included some treasure that's already in the tower. The question is, does Ming actually find it? So as Ming, he's like, yes, Jem agrees to go with him and teach him. And so Ming is ready to go. So he says, "Oh, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. Let me grab my stuff and let's get going." Wait. Jem kind of tells him, holds up her hands. "I just found this keep earlier this morning before you came. There might be something useful here. We need to search thoroughly. Whenever you're in the wild, you have to take every opportunity to find any kind of supplies that you can. Whether it be in a ruined building like this or out in the wild amongst the bush, you must prepare yourself for the next step of your journey. And that means searching very, very thoroughly." Of course. Didn't you do that yourself? Didn't you have time to do that yourself? No. I found the tower and dispatched some of the inhabitants inside. And unfortunately, by the time I did that, and I had placed an alarm spell just outside, one of the few magics that I know, not much, but a few of them, just as I had placed that and come back up here to search, that's when you arrived. So unfortunately, I've not been able to take time to really search this place thoroughly. Okay. What should I do? Where should I start? Do I have to do everything for you? Do you not know how to search a building? Well taken. I'll start downstairs. Thank you. So Ming's gonna go search other parts of the building. Here's the question though, will he find what's here? I think an investigation check is in order, but he already did an investigation check of the room that he was there, but he already did one of the bedroom type area. Didn't really find anything useful there. Maybe we should look again. I don't know. Let's start with the entryway. Maybe there might be something there. He's gonna really take his time. There's no rush, so I'm gonna give Ming advantage because I can. All right, here we go. So advantage on investigation check, and we'll see that the DC is 10 plus the chaos rank, which is still 6. So 10 plus 16. Right, DC 16, advantage, investigation. Here we go. Oh, cool. So good thing I needed it. 16 and a 4. So 16 plus 2 equals an 8. So definitely Ming, as he's walking down, he kind of holds his nose to go past the room of dead bodies that he now understands are the inhabitants or some of them are the inhabitants of the room, of the keep that Jem had taken out. And so maybe not all of them, but some of them. He's not thinking too much on it. So he goes back down to that room. He goes all the way back down to the base room, the room where past the window he came in. He looked down to the left and it looked kind of bare. Well, he goes down into there. And so in this room, what looked like a bare room is actually not. And so he comes inside, and so to the left, he sees the door like he saw before. On the opposite wall, he sees several different spikes that are used to hang maybe tools or things like that. And they're kind of arranged on the wall in just what looks to be a haphazard pattern. And then underneath the stairs where he just came down, where he did not see before, he sees kind of like an area where there's definitely racks for like weapons, like bows and swords and stuff. And all the weapons there are basic grade, things that Ming really can't use, basic short swords and maybe a long sword and maybe a short bow. Things that just Ming isn't going to have either the proficiency in or the care, the desire to take with him. Remember, Ming's a monk, where we've divorced ourselves from using conventional weapons, right? And so, is there anything here? Well, he did pass an investigation check, so he starts searching around. And so he searches through the rack and underneath it, nothing really there. There's like drawers in the racks. He opens them up. It's nothing but like cloths to maybe some little vials of polish for the weapons. Nothing incredibly useful. And so he's about to give up hope, but he looks at the pattern in the wall with the spikes. Remember, I've generated all this before. So he's going to look at it. And he's going to notice that what looked originally like a haphazard, just spikes everywhere, is actually not. The spikes are all pretty much relatively in nice, neat little rows, except for the last row. They're different. They're off a little bit. So Ming's going to go up there and look at that, and he's just going to kind of wonder. So I'm going to have him make an intelligence check. Actually, no, we'll make an insight check to see, does he get what's going on here? So 10 plus 6 equals 16, and I think also plus 1. So 17, because he's not exactly... He's smart, but he's not that smart. Natural 20. Okay. And I'll show you just so you know I'm not making it up. Boom. So natural 20 in his insight check. So he walks up. I don't think a natural 20 is when I'm not in combat. Come on. So he walks up to the wall and he sees the row of pegs that don't quite match up to the others, and he grabs the first one, it's solid. The second one, solid. Third one, solid. The last one, the fourth, he grabs it and pulls it down, and he hears that like some kind of gear that ticked off, and then he hears like a grating of stone against stone, and the pegs on the wall to the left of it immediately start slowly sliding back and out, and it reveals a secret room. Now, what's in the secret room? Not a lot. He's only going to find maybe a couple bags of gems. They're all together. Maybe each bag is going to be worth maybe 10 gold pieces each. It's about 4 bags of them. It's not exactly, it's not exactly pay dirt. But he does find a scroll, some kind of magical scroll. Ming doesn't know anything about that, but he's going to take it with him. But in terms of, other than that, he does find a ton of like dried food, and he does find some preserved cheeses and things like that. And so he is also going to grab about 10 to 15 days of rations from that. And remember, he already had about 7 days of rations before, but now he's well supplied on food now. Okay, so I wanted to talk about this really quickly, about specifically generating your own dungeons and things like that. So that room specifically where I found the gems and other stuff just now, the interesting thing is that when I generated that room, even though I rolled a natural 20 on my investigation check, or my insight check to figure out what was going on, inside the room there, pre-generated of course by dice rolls prior to recording, there was a magical like thing that I could find if I was a magic class, if I was a magic user. So, seeing as how Ming is a monk and not a wizard or a sorcerer or a warlock or whatever, that means that I couldn't find what was there. That happens when you generate your own dungeon sometimes. You won't be able to get all the stuff. So, understand it's okay. It happens. I actually missed out on a bag of holding this time. I'm a little bummed by that. But either way, let's get back to the show. Just want to let you know that, hey, even when you generate your own stuff, doesn't mean you're going to get all the fun stuff. It happens where you miss stuff all the time. Okay, let's get back. All right. So he doesn't really find like a ton of stuff. Nothing like super. I mean, he finds a couple gems in a scroll, but we'll see. We'll see what that worth is later. Again, he's not a magician, or he's not a mage, he's not a spellcaster. He doesn't know. So when he comes out, he puts that in his bag and he starts going back up the stairs. And at that point, he sees Jem coming down the stairs, and she's got her bow and everything, and she's also carrying Ming's staff. She kind of tosses it and he grabs it, and she says, "Are you ready to go? Did you find anything?" And he conveys that he found some rations and gems and a scroll. Okay, wonderful. Now listen, when you're searching for these things, make sure that you use whatever valuable. And you did exactly right. You grabbed the rations. I would have scolded you if you had left them and took the gems instead. Well, I took both. Is that okay? Of course. And so at this point, we're actually going to end the scene here. So at this point, they leave the tower, and thus Ming begins his apprenticeship underneath Jem Lovec. So we're going to end it there, and we're actually going to start a whole new scene mid-session, or at least in the start of this session. Now, our new scene, the setup for it is, I'm kind of going to do a montage, kind of a travel training montage, where Ming is going to be going through going through the wilderness and the mountains, being taught how to survive by Jem. We're going to say no more than 2 weeks. I think I rolled a d12 earlier and got 2 weeks. We're good. So I think it's important for us to kind of just skip over this. Nothing really happens. At least that's what I'm thinking, because we have to roll against chaos. So this will determine kind of if it's a training montage or if something does happen. So remember, we roll underneath chaos. We have to roll our d10 against chaos rank. Chaos rank is still 6. We're going to keep it at that because, well, nothing was neither out of control for me, nothing was quite in control either. So we'll keep it at 6. We'll remember if it's less than, it changes, but if it's 7 or higher, it goes exactly as planned. 4. So a 4 interrupt scene, so it's totally different than what we thought it would be. 53 is closing a thread. Interesting. Okay, so whatever's about to happen in this 2-week period is going to close a thread. Well, our only real thread, besides training to get stronger, is to find the source of the undead. So I think we're going to find it. Okay, let's see more about it. Event action. 1, which is starting what? Oh. Starting, and then 12, opposition. Starting and opposition. So it's closing a thread. The only thread we have open really right now is that Jem and Ming are looking for the source of the recent undead outbreak. Starting opposition. So opposition from who or from where? So our scene starts out like this. By now it's been about a week, and Ming has been training underneath Jem, not only is he training in his monk ways kind of as he travels, but he's also learning how to survive in the wild underneath Jem. She's teaching him very, 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 very basic stuff. Like, hey, don't eat that berry. It'll kill you. Hey, that's a good way to find out where you're going. Hey, you want to keep, that's the tallest mountain in the area. Keep that as your guide stone to walk through the wilderness. Just like hiking 101. Okay? We're not talking like, she's not going into, like how to evade and all that stuff. Just hiking 101, how you survive without dying. And so he's doing okay. He's a quick learner. For all the stuff that he does poorly, he was top of his class at the monastery, even though that class was like 2 people. So he's learning. But about a week in, something happens. So I'm actually going to roll a d12. Where's d12? There we go. I'm going to roll a d12. And so this is going to tell me how serious this threat is. Because here's what I think is happening. I think they're not only going to find the source of the undead, I think it's going to be the start of a greater conflict. I think, yes, they're going to find the source, but it's only it's the tip of the iceberg. So our keywords, we're starting an opposition. So that must mean there's a greater opposition. There's a greater threat that they're about to discover. So D12, the higher the number, the bigger the threat. 5. Okay, so it's a medium threat. So we're not the end of the world, but it's still going to be more than, what they've encountered so far, maybe even on par with it, but still. And so, as they're walking through the woods, they discover something. What is it, though? Let's consult the fate chart. So I think they're going to find like a hidden fortress or a hidden camp in the middle of the mountains, just completely out of the way. Some kind of, or maybe even like some ancient ruins or some place that is off the beaten trail and definitely off the map. So I think that's somewhat likely. So fate chart, chaos rank 6, will they find some kind of uncharted point of interest? 51, that is a yes. That's a yes. So they're going to find something off the beaten path. We'll roll for it in a second. Here's the real question, fate chart. Is this the headquarters, the source of the undead? I think it's very likely. 45, yes. Very, very likely. All right. So they found it. Whatever they're about to find, they found the source of the undead. Now, let's go to the Dungeon Master's Guide, because the Dungeon Master's Guide has a ton of resources available for you to roll certain things that are happening, or just basically just fill up the world that you're doing. So you don't have to design, if you're doing world building, you don't have to design every little piece of it. Let's roll a d20. I'm feeling this will tell us kind of what's going to signify that we're there. 2. A plundered burial mound or pyramid. Now, the first one about that is sealed. I think plundered is good, as in you're not going to find the original inhabitants because they've all been razed. We've already killed. They've already been dealt with by the merchant militia. So all of the source of the undead came from this burial mound. It came from here. And that's why it's been plundered. That's why it's empty. Right? So some kind of burial mound in the middle of the mountains, and they stumble upon it. Now, Jem's favorite enemy, she's a ranger, right? So her favorite enemy is undead. Her first one is. So as they're walking through the forest, Ming is, looking around. He's on point because so many hours of the day as they travel through the forest, Jem is making him take point, and she only steps in when he's about to make a fatal mistake. She's already had to step in at least several times, so he's not, again, Ming doesn't do very well. Anyway, so they're walking through the forest. Now even Ming is going to have to make a perception check to see if he notices this. Notices the ground around him is different. So perception check for both of them. All right, so Jem got a 16, so that's the cat, so she'll pass. Ming got a 8, so that will not work. So as Ming's walking around, he doesn't even notice that the ground underneath him has changed. He's so focused on the trees and on the mountain, making sure he keeps the mountain to that side. He isn't really, he's not paying attention as much as he should. And Jem quickly walks up and grabs him on the shoulder and says, "Stop walking." And so he stops. By this point, he's learned whenever Jem gets serious, she gets kind of pushy. What is it? Look where you walk. So he looks down and he notices the soil is very soft and it's got a little bit of layer of moss on it. And also notices several different holes all around the place. And next to those holes look to be some kind of markers, grave looking type markers. He stops and a chill kind of comes over him. What is this place? Where are we? I don't know, but it's clearly some kind of cemetery, a burial place. Look up there, just beyond the ridge. You can see it. So Ming looks up, and just over kind of the hill, just as the cemetery goes up over the hill, he sees that there's a large burial mound kind of in the background, a little slightly obscured by some mist. We'll say it's somewhat early in the morning. And so both of them are, by this point, both of them kind of get a sense of, this is it. This has to be. Look at all these graves. They're open. This has to be it. This is where the undead came from. This is where they came from. So at this point, Ming is going to look at Jem and say, what do we do? Do we go forward? We have to. We have to see what is here. I agree, but come on. Ready your weapons. Remember, rule number 43 of survival in the wilderness. Whenever you find something, investigate it. Cautiously. Of course, yes. So Ming grabs his staff, makes sure his throwing knives are, the pouch is open. Jem takes off her backpack, puts it at the base of a tree. Ming puts it there as well. She grabs her quiver. She got to make sure there's her quiver at her side. Her bow's ready to go. And she's got her rapier on her side as well. It looks like they're ready to go. And they step forward into the cemetery. Now, here's a question for the fate chart. Did all of the undead here, did all of the inhabitants of this place raise up? Did all of them, or are some left? So, fate chart, did all of them raise up? 50-50, I don't know. That's a 92, which is just a no. So some of the inhabitants are still here. Not every single body in the cemetery was raised. In fact, as they're walking through, they can notice that there are some gravestones where the ground next to them remains undisturbed. Wonder why? Maybe that might be important. I don't know. So as they're walking, though, they get closer and closer and closer to the burial mound. Both of them are going to have to make, I'm assuming that there's going to be some kind of like aura, or I mean, if the people who did this certainly aren't just going to just leave their base of operations unprotected or unguarded. So fate chart, is there like an aura of fear, or like an aura, or is there some kind of trap, or is there anything? Is there any kind of warding to keep off visitors? I think it's likely. Actually, I think it's very likely. These guys can't be that dumb, right? So chaos rank 6, 37, and that's a yes. So yes, there is some kind of warding. So both Jem and Ming, as they get closer, they're gonna start feeling their hearts going. Like they're gonna start increasing in speed, and they're gonna notice themselves even starting to feel a bit more afraid. They don't know what about though. So they're both gonna roll a wisdom save. So first is Jem, and she's not gonna succeed. So it's gonna be 10 plus the chaos rank plus 3. So because this is a very strong aura, so 10, 6, that's 19. She only rolled a 17. She's not gonna succeed. Ming is going to roll his wisdom save. All right, he is going to succeed. He got a 19 exactly. 15 plus 4, 19. And so as they get closer, Jem's gonna stop in her tracks. And Ming's gonna look back. What are you doing? Come on, we have to go. We have to go. No. I can't. I just can't. I can't go any closer. Please, we need to leave now. Every bone of my body, every fiber of my being is telling me that if I go in there, I'll never come out again. I can't go in there. At this point, Ming is a little more than a little worried. This is the first time he's seen Jem show actual fear in the week and a half or so they've been traveling. Jem, I understand. I'm afraid too, but this is what we've been looking for, the source of the undead. This could be it. You look around you. Look at all the graves that are open. We have to investigate this. You said yourself, investigate everything. Yes, I did, but... So clearly at this point she's hyperventilating, so I'm gonna see can Ming calm her down. He's not that kind of monk, but still he is proficient in medicine. So I'm actually gonna make a medicine check to see if he would know what to do. So the DC for the fear is 19. We'll make the medicine check 19 as well. And that one. All right, so Ming goes over to him. Again, Ming is more suited to battle dressing, right? If someone's got like a cut, he can wrap it up real quick, or he knows he can clean it real quick on the battlefield and wrap it up even while fighting's going on. That's his specialty. This, it's like psychological, keeping people, like that's just not his thing. And so by this point, Jem has kind of sat down on a log, and she's hyperventilating, trying to kind of collect herself. Even she's not really sure what's going on. So, fate chart, is Jem going to be able to overcome this? 50-50. 18. So yes. Not an exceptional yes, but a yes. So we'll do this. Let's roll a d12, and they'll say that times 10 is how many minutes it's going to take for her to get over this and go forward. 70 minutes. So it's going to take her over an hour to calm down. And so for about 30 minutes, Ming is going to sit there and trying to calm her down. And, she's... Eventually, her breathing will get normalized, but she still isn't moving. So she's locked. Wherever she's locked in her place. And so whatever force has set up this barrier, this aura around the burial mound, it's doing its job very, very well. And so another 30 minutes pass, and by this point, she's kind of regained her composure. She's breathing normally, but every time Ming says, "Are you ready?" she goes, No, I'm not. And so, yeah, clearly this is taking its toll on her, and Jem is trying to regain composure. But after about 70 minutes, about an hour and 10 minutes, she stands up slowly. Okay, I'm ready. I think. Are you sure? We can always... Okay. We can always what? We have to go forward. We have to. I have to. I have to know. I have to know what happened. I have to know why she died. I understand. I'm ready. And so they start going forward again. They can feel the effects of the aura get stronger as they get closer, but by now I think that they've acclimated to the aura's presence. And so now, the closer they get, all the graves are completely empty. And so maybe the few that were left behind there, just the spell didn't whatever caused them to raise from the dead didn't quite reach them or work, but all the graves inside the aura are empty. Finally, they come around a small hill and they see it. The large burial mound is stacked up into 3 layers. Think kind of like one of those Mayan temples almost, but a lot flatter. All on top of it, there's nothing but brown, sick-looking moss. Not green, brown, and the smell of death and dust is heavy on the air. There is a slight mist, a slight fog in the area. It is rather high up in the mountains, but still, even with the mist and the slight breeze from the mountain air, the smell of death, dust, and decay hangs very heavy in this place. Not to mention, both of them can feel the pressure on their psyche as they get closer to the burial mound. This is not a good place. There is real evil here. So, fate chart. Is there a welcoming committee? 40, which is a yes. So there is a welcoming committee. What are they? I'm going to say it's going to be a couple skeletons. They're going to be kind of patrolling the area around the large entrance at the base of the mound. How many skeletons are there? Well, it's going to be 4 skeletons. So not much, more of a punitive force, not really a stalwart defense system. So they're going to steal themselves. There's no way to get past these without combat. So let's enter into combat now. Ming's gonna roll initiative as well as Jem. So they both rolled the same. So it's 16 and 16. All right. So it comes down to their initiative. So Jem will actually go first. All right. In terms of the skeletons, the minute they come around the bend, they kind of turned and saw them and kind of made these almost like hissing noises. And so they apparently were prepared for these guys coming. So maybe the aura worked both ways. It tries to keep people out, but let people inside know that someone's approaching. All right. And so the skeletons, they're aware of their presence, so there's no like surprise or anything, but I'm gonna roll initiative for the skeletons. So Jem's gonna go first. It is her turn. And so she's an archer, and she's not only an archer, she's a good archer at that. She's gonna cast a spell called Hail of Thorns. A spell where she casts on herself as a bonus action, and every creature she hits with a weapon attack, thorns erupt out of that creature and damage all the creatures within 5 feet of it. Awesome. And also, she's got a part of her class feature, she's what's called a horde attacker. So immediately after attacking one creature, she can then attack the next creature right next to it. And she's got 2 attacks. I think she might one-shot this whole thing. Who knows? So she's going to cast that on herself. And they're within 40 or 50 feet. They're not that far away. So she's going to aim for, and then there's 2 of them on the left side, 2 skeletons on the left side of the door, and 2 skeletons on the right side of the door. And the door is about 10 feet wide. So she's going to be able to do all 5 of them. So, all right. She's going for the one in the middle left-hand side against him. She rolled a nat 1. Great start. So that's a nat 1. I mean, it is a 10 with her bonuses. I don't even think that's enough to hit. Yeah. So she pulls back her, fires away. There are swords, and it just completely misses all of them entirely, lands somewhere above the door into the moss. She's, get it together. She's kind of like psyching herself up. She does get one more attack though. She gets 2 attacks per round. She's going to shift gears to the one to the right, in the right middle of the door. Attack with this. There we go. 8 plus 9 equals 17. That definitely hits. That's going to be 9 damage. I mean, not very much. All right. So the creature's next have to make a dexterity save. It takes 1d10 as well, but only half. 4. All right. She kind of shakes herself out. She aims for the next one, fires away. The arrow sinks into kind of the worn like hide armor that's almost moldy and falling apart, and then out of that, just an explosion of thorns erupt. You know, the skeleton next to it kind of looks and it almost bends back in an unnatural, creepy way, and avoids most of it. But a couple of them graze by and scratching a little bit. Still, it's not hurt. It's not that bad. And so so you can tell that the effect of the aura is definitely still affecting her. That's my excuse for her doing so poorly in her first round. So, with that said, it's now Ming's turn. So like I said, they're about 40 feet away, or so between 40 and 50. So we'll say 50 feet just for that. Ming is going to move 40 feet closer to get to them, and then he's going to take one of his throwing knives and throw it, and he's gonna throw it at the skeleton that Jem just hit. So that's going to be a d20 plus 7. That's a 22, so that definitely hits. So 1d4 plus 4, 5. So 1 plus 4 equals 5. But that's enough to down it. So he runs up, takes one of the throwing knives, and throws it really quickly. It spins straight in the skull, just straight in the middle of the skull, turns the dust and falls down, knife with it. And that's his turn. It's now going to be the skeleton's turn. So the skeleton that was next to the one Ming just downed, it's going to run up and swing its sword at Ming. It's not going to be high enough to get past Ming's armor class. So it runs up and does this, and Ming quickly takes his quarterstaff and just smacks it out of the way, totally avoids it. Then we have the other two skeletons. One of them is going to take his short bow out and fire at Jem. That's going to be a 4 plus 4 equals 8. I know that doesn't hit for sure. Then the next one is going to run on the other side of Ming and flank him and get an attack with his short sword with advantage. Oh geez, so 17 plus 4 equals 21. That definitely hits. So that's going to be a 1d6 plus 2 damage. Okay, so only does 3 damage on him because didn't roll very well. So that's 3 damage to Ming. So this one runs up while Ming is smacking and deflects the blade. This one runs up and goes for the strike. Ming turns around just in time, kind of like grazes. He just barely grazes off his shoulder. Doesn't really do any damage. He just kind of knocks it away with his quarterstaff, but still he had to exert himself to do so. That's why he took damage for it. All right, that's the end of that round. So back to the top of the round. It's now Jem's turn again. She's going to take her bow out. Now, she can't go for the ones next to Ming directly, because if she fires the hail of thorns at it, then he'll get hit in the crossfire. So she's going to maneuver herself to the left a little bit, just a couple, maybe 20 feet or so that way she can get a clear shot at the one still hanging back, fire at it. So 9 plus 3, that's 10, 11, 12. And that will not do it. Man, Jem. Okay, so she's gonna fire her second shot at the same guy. There we go. 17 plus 9, that definitely hits. So it's gonna, and then that guy gets that one gets a reflex save. I didn't do it before. That's my fault. But he gets a reflex save, DC 13. He succeeds, so it's half damage on the D10. So D8 first. Full damage, 8, nice. 10, nice. So 5, that'll do it. So she fires the first bolt off, and it soars past the skeleton and makes that almost like a taunting noise, little bugger. And so Jem grabs another arrow, knocks it, breathes in, fires away. It fires as little magical bolts of thorns start forming all around it as it spins, almost like a spiral through the air. Nails it square in the head. Thorns erupt from its skull. It goes down into a pile of dust. There's no one nearby. Unfortunately, that's outside 5 feet for the other thorns to affect it, but still. And so with her, it's just really quickly before they need to return, she's going to say, Ming, get away from them. Get away from them. So we'll see if he does it. All right, now it's Ming's turn. Hearing Jem just say that, Ming is going to... All right, so Ming is going to spend a key point to take the disengage action as a bonus action. So he's going to, when he's here, he says, okay. So he's going to quickly kind of just almost like slide his feet, you know, like the way martial artists like slide their feet on the ground while they're stepping. So he's going to do a around the skeleton in front of him to the other side, all the way to the right of the two. He's going to jump back 10 feet, you know, just to make sure he's out of any hail that's coming his way, because that's what he thinks is about to happen. And then he's already moved 20 feet. He's going to move additional 10 feet back. So he's now about 20 feet away from the first skeleton and 30 feet away from the second. And he's going to ready an action. If the skeleton gets within 5 feet, he's going to go for it with his staff. So that's Ming's turn. Now the skeleton's turn. So here's the question. Who are they going after? Yeah, Ming's right there, but I think Jem's established herself as a credible threat. So we'll roll a d6. Evens that go after Ming, odds that go after Jem. 5, going after Jem. And so two of them, the two of them are left. They kind of both look at Jem. Their eyes are flashing the light of magic that keeps their corpses, their skeletal corpses animated, and they just dash forward. And they're gonna both surround Jem. They're gonna be around her on both sides, and now she's completely kind of cornered. And so they bum rushed Jem. So we'll see if this is a problem. It's now back to Jem. So Jem, seeing as how she's now surrounded, realizes that can't fire at them with a longbow. She's just gonna drop it on the ground. She's gonna drop it behind her, pull out her rapier, and strike one of them on her right side. 8 plus 7 equals 15. That will hit the other one, that one. And then I'm just gonna roll for the other one because again, she has 2 attacks per action. And so she's gonna roll the next one. 14 plus 7, that definitely hits as well. So that's a 1d8 plus 4. Nice. She's a lot better than me. So, with one of her attacks, she completely downs. With one of her attacks, she completely downs the fully healed skeleton that's been shooting with the bow. She takes her rapier and just goes to town on it, cutting its moldy armor off, slashing off its arm, almost seems to be severing the very fibers of magic, keeping the foul creature together. And then the other one, thinking it might have a moment, kind of goes to attack. She turns around, swipes at its sword out of the way, and stabs as hard as she can. So it's 2 plus 4, that's 6. And she does it. Yeah, that's 4 plus 6 equals 10. So yeah. And she slaps it out of the way and stabs as hard as she can. Stabs it square in the skull, and then pulls her sword out. Both the skeletons just standing there, and they both simultaneously turn to dust. Combat's over. Ming is flabbergasted, completely flabbergasted. He didn't even really help that fight at all. Jem completely wiped the floor with everything. She's clearly she's clearly better at combat than Ming. Hashtag Ming sucks. But wow, this is incredible. So Ming walks up to her. That was incredible. You were amazing. I mean, you didn't even need me. At this point, Jem picks up her bow. Sheaves her rapier, picks up her bow, puts her arrow back in the quiver, puts the bow back on her back. I'm not going to lie. The effects of the aura are still affecting me. I probably could have done much better and made much quicker work of them. You could have done better? At this point, Ming's feeling a little jealous. But no time for that. No time for that. because I'm wondering, does the commotion of the combat alert someone else in the facility? I would think yes. I would think that this would be, definitely going to happen. So fate chart. I think it's very likely were the inhabitants of the burial mound, or anyone else inside, if there is no one else inside, were they alerted? Well, actually, no. Yeah, were they alerted? We know they're here. This is the source of the undead. We're closing the thread. This is here. So, does that happen? Are they alerted? 93, that's going to be, I think it's very likely, that's going to be a no. It's going to be a no. Maybe they know, maybe the people inside know someone is here because they've come into the area of effect of the aura, but they may not know what's happening outside. Maybe that's the thing. It's not a scry spell. So they're not going to have to worry about someone rushing out. They're going to be able to go in. And so, what awaits them inside? I don't know. We'll find out on the next episode. I need to spend some time to generate the inside first. But we'll find out what is happening on the inside of this burial mound next time. This is it. Ming has found the source of the undead, and he gets to finally avenge Leah. And maybe there might be something in this for Jem as well. Alright, so yeah, we'll find out next time. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you coming along with me on my adventures of Ming. It seems like Ming is slowly getting supplanted as the main character. Jem's going to keep doing this well, but still, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. As always, if you have your own games that you're running and you're playing solo, please put them in the description. I totally want to watch them. I love watching Trevor Duvall stuff, who's the inspiration for this channel in the first place. And I want to watch your stuff too. So please, if you are doing solo games and you've got your own channel of you doing those games, put the link in the comments. I'm totally going to be interested in watching it. I love that stuff. Let me know what you think. What could I do better? What did I do well? How can I make this funner for you? Either way, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and God bless.